The Great Barrier Reef, the world's largest coral reef system, did not emerge overnight but rather through a complex and prolonged process spanning millions of years. Its origin story begins deep within the ocean, where the interaction between biological organisms and geological forces gave rise to one of the most astonishing natural wonders on Earth. Around 20 million years ago, corals, tiny marine organisms called polyps, began the long process of building the reef. These minuscule creatures are the true architects of the reef. Coral polyps extract calcium carbonate from seawater, forming hard exoskeletons that provide a foundation for new generations of polyps to grow upon. When polyps die, their skeletal remains contribute to the reef structure, and new polyps settle and continue the building process. This ongoing cycle of growth and death created the vast underwater labyrinth of coral reefs we see today. The Great Barrier Reef was shaped significantly by fluctuating sea levels over millions of years. During periods when the Earth's climate was cooler, glaciers formed, and sea levels dropped. As the water receded, parts of the reef were exposed to air, and coral growth ceased. During warmer interglacial periods, the melting ice caps caused sea levels to rise, allowing the coral reefs to flourish once again. These alternating periods of exposure and submersion have contributed to the reef's current topography, where shallow lagoons, deep channels, and towering coral structures coexist in a mosaic of habitats. At the center of the reef's evolution is its unique location. Situated on the northeastern coast of Australia, the reef lies along the edge of the continental shelf, where warm, nutrient-poor waters are ideal for coral growth. The water's clarity allows sunlight to penetrate, supporting the growth of the microscopic algae known as zooxanthellae that live within the coral's tissues. These algae are vital to the reef's ecosystem, as they perform photosynthesis, providing the coral polyps with most of their energy. Corals are not solitary creatures, they exist in symbiosis with the algae. The corals provide a protected environment for the algae, and in return, the algae supply oxygen and nutrients through photosynthesis, helping the coral build its calcium carbonate skeleton. This intricate partnership is essential for coral survival, but it also makes them extremely sensitive to environmental changes, particularly shifts in water temperature. The Great Barrier Reef is composed of nearly 3,000 individual reefs and around 900 islands, forming a vast network of interconnected ecosystems. These islands and reefs evolved over millennia, shaped by volcanic activity, the movement of tectonic plates, and the accumulation of marine sediments. Some of the islands are continental, meaning they were originally part of the mainland but became isolated as sea levels rose. Others are coral cays, formed entirely from sand, coral, and other marine debris deposited by ocean currents over time. One of the key geological forces behind the reef's development is the East Australian Current, which flows southward along the coast. This current influences the distribution of warm water, marine life, and nutrients throughout the reef system, creating distinct zones of biodiversity. The interplay between ocean currents, volcanic activity, and coral growth has created a dynamic landscape that continues to evolve today. The reef's gradual expansion has been influenced not only by natural processes but also by the creatures that inhabit it. Fish, crustaceans, and other marine species contribute to the reef's development through their daily activities. For example, parrotfish play a crucial role by feeding on algae that grow on the coral's surface, preventing the coral from being overrun by algae and helping to maintain the delicate balance of the ecosystem. These fish also excrete sand, contributing to the formation of the reef's sandy islands and beaches. While the Great Barrier Reef's physical structure is impressive, its resilience over millions of years is equally astonishing. It has survived multiple ice ages, shifts in sea levels, and changes in ocean chemistry. However, its survival is now being challenged by new threats, chief among them, climate change. Rising sea temperatures, ocean acidification, and human impacts like pollution pose unprecedented risks to the reef, threatening its ability to continue its slow but steady evolution. In conclusion, the Great Barrier Reef is not merely a static formation of coral and limestone. It is a living, evolving entity that has undergone significant changes over millions of years. From its early beginnings in warm, shallow waters to its current status as the largest coral reef system in the world, the reef's development is a testament to the power of natural processes. It stands as a reminder of the delicate balance between life, environment, and time, a balance that is now under increasing threat. As we continue to study the reef's past, we gain insight into the forces that shaped it, while also recognizing the urgent need to protect its future. The Great Barrier Reef is much more than just a beautiful underwater structure. It is an extraordinarily vibrant ecosystem, teeming with life. As the largest coral reef system in the world, it supports an immense array of marine species, from the tiniest plankton to the largest predatory sharks. The complexity of the reef's biodiversity makes it one of the most ecologically important environments on the planet, rivaled only by tropical rainforests. At the heart of the reef's ecosystem are the coral colonies themselves, forming the foundation of this aquatic community. Corals are not only the builders of the reef but also its landlords, providing food and shelter for a diverse range of organisms. The interdependence of the species that inhabit the reef creates a delicate balance, where even the smallest disruptions can have far-reaching consequences. The reef's biodiversity is so intricate that it functions as a self-regulating system. Predators, herbivores, scavengers, and decomposers all have their roles to play in maintaining ecological harmony. One of the most striking features of the Great Barrier Reef is its incredible variety of fish species. Over 1,500 species of fish inhabit its waters, each filling a specific niche within the ecosystem. The vibrant colors and striking patterns of reef fish, such as angelfish, butterflyfish, and parrotfish, are not just a feast for the eyes but play essential roles in the reef's health. Take, for example, the parrotfish, a species that has a critical function in reef maintenance. These fish feed on algae growing on the coral, preventing it from overgrowing and suffocating the delicate coral polyps. In addition to keeping the reef clean, parrotfish contribute to the creation of sandy beaches by excreting sand after digesting coral. Without this natural cleaning service, the balance between coral and algae could be disrupted, leading to the degradation of the reef's health. Another fascinating example of symbiosis within the reef is the relationship between clownfish and sea anemones. Clownfish, made famous by their bright orange and white stripes, find protection within the stinging tentacles of sea anemones. The anemones provide shelter, while the clownfish defend their hosts from predators, like butterflyfish, that would otherwise consume the anemone. This mutually beneficial arrangement is just one of many partnerships that thrive in the reef's dynamic ecosystem. While the reef's fish population provides much of the spectacle, larger marine creatures also play an essential role in the reef's ecosystem. Green sea turtles are among the most iconic inhabitants of the Great Barrier Reef. These ancient creatures make long migrations across the ocean to return to the reef's sandy beaches, where they lay their eggs. The nesting sites on islands within the reef are crucial for turtle populations, and the reef provides a habitat for juvenile turtles, where they can feed and grow before venturing out to deeper waters. Manta rays, with their impressive wingspans, gracefully glide through the reef's waters. These gentle giants feed on plankton, using their wide, open mouths to filter tiny organisms from the water. The presence of manta rays is an indicator of the reef's overall health, as their movements are closely tied to the abundance of plankton and small marine life that forms the base of the food chain. Sharks, the apex predators of the reef, also play a critical role in maintaining ecological balance. Species such as the reef shark and the tiger shark patrol the waters, keeping populations of smaller fish and other animals in check. These predators help prevent any one species from becoming too dominant, ensuring that the ecosystem remains balanced. Despite their fearsome reputation, sharks are vital to the health of the reef, and their presence is a sign of a functioning and stable marine environment. Coral reefs are often referred to as the rainforests of the sea, because of their incredible biodiversity. While much of the attention is often on the more visible fish and marine animals, many of the reef's inhabitants live within the coral itself. Tiny creatures like crabs, shrimp, and mollusks find refuge within the crevices of the coral structures. Some of these creatures have evolved unique adaptations that allow them to live in symbiosis with the corals. For example, certain species of shrimp clean the coral by feeding on parasites and dead tissue, ensuring that the coral remains healthy and vibrant. Sponges, sea urchins, and sea stars also make their homes on the reef, each playing a role in the complex food web. Sea cucumbers, which might seem unremarkable at first glance, are vital in recycling nutrients. They feed on organic matter in the sand, breaking it down and returning it to the ecosystem in a form that other marine organisms can use. The Great Barrier Reef is not only a habitat for adult marine species, it also serves as a crucial breeding ground. Many species rely on the reef's protected lagoons and mangrove forests to spawn and raise their young. The maze-like structure of the coral provides protection for juvenile fish and other marine life from predators, giving them a chance to mature before they venture into the open ocean. The reef's role as a nursery is especially important for species like groupers and snappers, which are critical to commercial and subsistence fisheries. These fish breed within the reef's sheltered waters before migrating to deeper areas. The health of the reef, therefore, has direct implications for human livelihoods, especially for the communities that rely on fishing for their survival. Migratory species such as whales also use the reef as a stopover point during their long journeys across the ocean. Humpback whales, in particular, are frequent visitors, using the warm, shallow waters of the reef as a place to give birth and nurse their young. These majestic creatures, along with dolphins and dugongs, add to the diversity and richness of the Great Barrier Reef's ecosystem. The interconnectedness of life on the Great Barrier Reef is a delicate balance. Every species, from the smallest plankton to the largest whale, plays a role in maintaining the health and stability of this intricate ecosystem. The reef's ability to support such a wide variety of life is due to the diversity of habitats it offers, from shallow coral gardens to deep water channels. However, this balance is fragile. Even small changes in water temperature, salinity, or pH levels can have profound effects on the reef's inhabitants. Climate change, pollution, and overfishing threaten to disrupt the harmony of the reef, putting its future at risk. In summary, the Great Barrier Reef is a living tapestry of life, where the relationships between species are complex and finely tuned. Its thriving ecosystem, home to thousands of marine species, depends on the reef's health and resilience. Protecting this natural wonder is not only essential for the creatures that call it home but also for the health of the oceans and the planet as a whole. Beyond its breathtaking beauty and biodiversity, the Great Barrier Reef plays a crucial role in regulating the Earth's climate and maintaining the health of the global ocean ecosystem. Coral reefs like the Great Barrier Reef are not just passive habitats but are actively involved in stabilizing ocean chemistry, influencing weather patterns, and acting as carbon sinks. The intricate relationships between the reef and the broader environmental systems of the planet make it a vital component in maintaining global ecological balance. One of the most significant ways the Great Barrier Reef influences the planet's health is through its role in the carbon cycle. Coral reefs are highly efficient at sequestering carbon, helping to regulate the levels of carbon dioxide, CO, in the atmosphere. The process of calcification, where coral polyps build their skeletons from calcium carbonate, is a natural form of carbon storage. By extracting calcium ions and carbonate from seawater to form their hard exoskeletons, corals remove carbon dioxide from the ocean. This process helps buffer the effects of increasing atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations, which are a primary driver of global climate change. However, the reef's ability to continue sequestering carbon is being threatened by ocean acidification, a direct result of increased CO in the atmosphere. As more carbon dioxide is absorbed by the ocean, it reacts with seawater to form carbonic acid, which lowers the pH of the water. This acidic environment makes it more difficult for corals to form their calcium carbonate skeletons, weakening the reef and compromising its role in the global carbon cycle. Ocean acidification poses one of the greatest long-term threats to coral reefs, including the Great Barrier Reef, as it undermines their structural integrity and capacity to serve as carbon sinks. The Great Barrier Reef also plays a localized role in climate regulation, particularly in moderating coastal weather patterns. The reef acts as a natural barrier, influencing the movement of ocean currents and altering wind patterns. By absorbing the energy of ocean waves, the reef protects the coastline from the full force of storms and hurricanes. Without the presence of the reef, coastal regions would be far more vulnerable to extreme weather events, with stronger waves and storm surges causing more severe flooding and erosion. In addition to protecting the coastline, the Great Barrier Reef's shallow waters have a cooling effect on the surrounding region. The process of evaporation from the surface of the reef helps to cool the air, mitigating the intensity of heat waves. This localized cooling is particularly important in tropical regions like northeastern Australia, where temperatures can soar during the summer months. The evaporation process also contributes to cloud formation, which in turn influences rainfall patterns. The reef, in essence, creates a microclimate that helps regulate the weather in the surrounding areas, making it a vital natural feature for both marine life and human communities. While coral formations are the most iconic feature of the Great Barrier Reef, the reef system also includes extensive mangrove forests and seagrass meadows, which play essential roles in both ocean health and climate regulation. These coastal habitats act as natural carbon sinks, capturing and storing carbon at rates far exceeding those of terrestrial forests. Mangroves, in particular, are known for their ability to store carbon in their dense root systems, which extend deep into the soil. These carbon-rich sediments can remain trapped for centuries, making mangroves a critical tool in the fight against climate change. Seagrass meadows, which thrive in the shallow waters around the reef, perform a similar function by capturing carbon dioxide through photosynthesis and storing it in the sediment beneath the plants. The interconnected nature of these ecosystems means that the health of mangroves and seagrass beds is directly tied to the health of the reef. These habitats also provide breeding grounds for many marine species, including commercially important fish and invertebrates. The loss of seagrass meadows and mangrove forests, whether through rising sea levels, pollution, or coastal development, would have devastating consequences for the biodiversity and carbon storing capacity of the reef system. In recent decades, the phenomenon of coral bleaching has become one of the most visible signs of the impact of climate change on the Great Barrier Reef. Coral bleaching occurs when corals are subjected to stress, typically from elevated sea temperatures, causing them to expel the symbiotic algae, zooxanthellae, that live within their tissues. These algae provide the coral with nutrients through photosynthesis and give the coral its vibrant color. When corals lose their algae, they turn white, hence the term bleaching, and, more critically, they are deprived of their primary food source. If the stressful conditions persist, bleached corals can starve and die. Mass coral bleaching events have become more frequent as global temperatures rise, with severe bleaching episodes occurring in 1998, 2002, 2016, and 2017. The scale of these events is alarming, as large swaths of the reef have been affected. In some areas, entire coral colonies have been wiped out, leaving behind skeletal remains that no longer provide the shelter and food sources for the marine life that once thrived there. While corals can recover from bleaching if conditions improve, the increasing frequency and intensity of these events leave less time for recovery between episodes. The long-term consequences of coral bleaching extend beyond the immediate loss of biodiversity. As corals die and the structure of the reef erodes, the reef's ability to buffer wave action diminishes, leading to greater coastal erosion and more vulnerable communities. The loss of coral also affects the reef's role in carbon sequestration, further exacerbating the global carbon cycle. As coral bleaching becomes more widespread, the Great Barrier Reef's capacity to regulate climate and protect ocean health is increasingly compromised. The Great Barrier Reef's influence on climate and ocean health also has profound implications for human communities, particularly those that rely on the reef for their livelihoods. Fishing, tourism, and coastal protection are all directly tied to the reef's health. The reef supports a multi-billion-dollar tourism industry, attracting millions of visitors each year who come to snorkel, dive, and experience its beauty. This industry provides jobs and sustains local economies, making the preservation of the reef not only an environmental concern but also a socio-economic one. For coastal communities, the reef acts as a natural defense against the full force of ocean waves and storms. Without the protective barrier of the reef, these communities would face increased risks from coastal erosion and flooding, both of which are expected to worsen with rising sea levels and more intense storms brought on by climate change. The health of the Great Barrier Reef is therefore directly linked to the resilience of human populations along Australia's northeastern coast. In conclusion, the Great Barrier Reef is more than just an underwater paradise. It is a vital component of Earth's climate system and ocean health. Its ability to regulate carbon levels, influence weather patterns, and protect coastal areas makes it an invaluable asset in the fight against climate change. However, the threats posed by rising sea temperatures, ocean acidification, and human activities are putting the reef's future in jeopardy. The loss of this natural wonder would not only devastate marine life but also have far-reaching consequences for the global climate system and the millions of people who depend on the reef for their survival. Recognizing the importance of the Great Barrier Reef, there have been extensive efforts to conserve and protect it. In 1981, the reef was designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, highlighting its global significance. Various Australian government bodies, NGOs, and international organisations have since been working together to monitor the reef's health and implement strategies to mitigate the damage. Marine parks have been established to regulate fishing and tourism activities. The Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority manages the reef with zoning systems that designate areas for conservation, tourism, and fishing. This ensures that key habitats are protected while still allowing people to enjoy the reef responsibly. In response to the growing threat of climate change, scientists are researching innovative solutions, such as coral farming and assisted coral evolution. Coral nurseries are being developed to grow heat-resistant corals, which are then transplanted back into the reef. Additionally, efforts are being made to improve water quality through better land use practices, reducing agricultural runoff, and limiting coastal development. Public awareness campaigns have also played a crucial role in conservation efforts. Documentaries, such as David Attenborough's Great Barrier Reef, have brought the beauty and fragility of the reef into homes worldwide, fostering a global sense of responsibility toward its protection. The future of the Great Barrier Reef remains uncertain. While conservation efforts have slowed some of the damage, the rapid pace of climate change presents an ongoing challenge. Without global action to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, the reef's chances of long-term survival are slim. Experts predict that if temperatures continue to rise, coral bleaching events could become more frequent and severe, leading to the collapse of reef ecosystems. However, there is hope. The resilience of nature should not be underestimated. In recent years, some parts of the reef have shown signs of recovery. Corals that survived previous bleaching events have adapted to warmer conditions, and efforts to restore damaged areas are showing promise. The development of new technologies, such as using underwater robots to plant coral larvae, offers innovative solutions to assist the reef's recovery. Ultimately, the fate of the Great Barrier Reef lies in our collective hands. It requires global cooperation and immediate action to combat climate change. As one of the most extraordinary natural wonders on the planet, it serves as a symbol of what is at stake. If we succeed in protecting the reef, it will stand as a testament to humanity's ability to preserve the natural world for future generations.